question that was sent in by Paul. In fact, Paul sent a video through about comments that Kurt Russell made. For this video, we've got the core.
Yes.
So I'll play the clip anyway that Paul sent through, and we can talk about it.
Hello and welcome to Brand X Reviews. No, I'm only joking. In a nutshell, mate, there's the video. Kurt Russell on Metal Gear Solid. So, in a nutshell, his character Snake Plissken in Escape from New York and LA, well, in New York, was actually the inspiration for Snake, the character in the Metal Gear Solid video games. And Kurt Russell was asked to voice him, I believe, or something along those lines. The video gives the full context. In a nutshell, Kurt Russell says, I said no because I like to do Project A, Project B, Project C, and crack on. And then he spends a few seconds praising John Carpenter, saying, well, John didn't write this, John's not here to do this. So obviously he works a lot with John Carpenter, which is cool, so he praises him. And then he goes on to say this, which is interesting. Here we go.
Let's go do something new. Let's go do something fresh. Let's go create another iconic character rather than saying, what can we bleed off of this iconic character? And you don't look at them as iconic characters. I mean, they refer to them as that if they become that. You're just doing a day. You're on a day-to-day, running it, having a good time, and trying to make it work.
So yeah. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, as you can hear, I don't know if that's a dig at Hollywood or if that's just always been his opinion, but I think it always has been his opinion. He did say at one point in the video, I'm from a different generation. But yeah, interesting little footnote there of him saying, let's go do something new. Let's go create a new iconic character, not what we can bleed from this and this. So yeah, well done that man. And a few people in the comments have, as you can imagine, said, Hollywood, listen to this fucking man. He knows what he's talking about. Peace.
So the gist of it is, it doesn't even have to apply to Kurt Russell, really. It doesn't have to be a thing that's necessarily about him or anything that he's done, but he obviously his own career as an example. Just to recap for yourself, for the core, because I'll be editing that clip. What Kurt Russell was saying was, he got asked, because, is it Metal Gear Solid or something? There's a character called Solid Snake, is that right?
Yes.
Was fairly heavily inspired by Snake Plissken. Was this a 90s game? I seem to remember Buff mentioning
No, I mean, it was very early. I mean, the first Metal Gear Solid game came out on the NES. It wasn't even the SNES. It was like, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the very first one.
Yeah, I think I remember AVG, an Angry Video Game Nerd, talking. Was it just called like Metal Gear or something like that?
Yeah. Basically, the character goes back quite a way. Like, it's definitely is inspired by Snake Plissken, because there's one point where he's like undercover and like part of his name's like Plissken. So
Right.
it is pretty obvious like it's inspired by, but it's not really supposed to be the same character.
Yeah. So at some point, Kurt Russell's been asked if he'll like voice the character or something, which obviously would be kind of false.
Yeah, they kind of changed voice actors on him in like one of the more recent things, and I think they ended up going with what's his name? Guy who's in 24, like the main guy.
Ethan Sutherland.
Yeah, I think it was him anyway. It was something like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was probably more Konami, the company that ordered it, wanted like a big named like actor.
Yeah.
Or like a bigger named actor than the guy who was doing it before that, which was David Heiter or something. I forget.
I know that name. Yeah, I know that name. But yeah, so Kurt Russell's response to that was, from the video, he'd rather do something new rather than kind of rehashing things and just kind of stringing them out. Which obviously is a thing. It has been a thing for quite some time. I mean, we talk about the whole book thing and how Hollywood's like run out of ideas and so on. But I mean, this, in terms of rehashing characters and running out of ideas, isn't necessarily anything new. I mean, obviously things are getting pretty dire nowadays, but we've had this before with various iterations, reboots. I mean, I've seen recent examples would be for better or for worse, would be Spider-Man. How many reboots of that have we had? How many times has that been kind of rehashed and so on?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, the only reason I was even interested in the most recent one is it's like, well, they were kind of rehashing it to put it into Marvel back when that was actually a good thing.
Yeah.
Because like otherwise, it's like, okay, you're rebooting it. You've only just like finished the last trilogy. Like, it's not even one of those cases of like where you look back and it's like, oh shit, it's been nearly 20 years since that came out. It's like they were rebooting it before they'd even finished with the fucking previous like thing. It was like we had the Tobey Maguire ones, and how long was there between that and the Garfield ones? It wasn't like that long.
So, from what I understand, there was a 5-year thing where if Sony didn't make a Spider-Man movie within 5 years or was in production with one.
Yeah, I mean, you see, I get that from a business point of view, but it's like, well, it's not my job to like, make sure that Sony keeps the rights to it, so I don't really give a shit. Like, it's not ready for a reboot yet. I'm not going to support a reboot just because you guys need to pull out another one. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not your problem.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, with the Spider-Man thing, obviously, like you say, credit where it's due. The most recent reboot kind of coincided with like an actual good idea, and Marvel Studios that were doing good at the time. For them, it made sense for the sake of making a film, whereas Sony made sense for them from the point of view of making money on their investment, which, like you say, isn't our problem as the movie-going audience kind of thing. We just
It's like, I mean, if you're worried about running out of the thing, then continue the fucking like trilogy you've already got. Like, don't reboot it and try and make it again. Like, I'm sick and fed up of seeing like Spider-Man's fucking origin story. Like, I fucking know it by heart. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. In terms of rehashing characters and obviously keeping, I mean, the thing wasn't about superheroes, but obviously we've kind of gone there just to start with. DC, with like Batman and the Joker and so on. I mean, you had like the Dark Knight trilogy, then you had the Snyderverse with Ben Affleck, which was okay. Bits of it were okay. Then you've got Robert Pattinson, and as another Batman, and then in another universe, you've got another Joker that neither connects with the Robert Pattinson, the Batman movie, or the Snyder universe, which technically was still going with like all the other crap that they were putting out, like Beetle and Aquaman and all those crap films. You got all this stuff going on at the same time, rehashing these things, and none of them link in together. It's just because they've got that many like differing ideas and rehashings going on. None of them seem to even connect.
Yeah, it's like, I get it. You don't want to start doing like, you want everything put together in like, a big universe so you can make lots of money out of it. It's like Marvel kind of, hit like on a winning formula with that one. And they built up to it slowly. They didn't just like, yep, we're releasing Iron Man this year. And then we're going to release, the Hulk that ties into Iron Man. Like, it was a novelty when it was like, oh shit, it's like a post-credit scene to this. And it's got Tony Stark in it, like, played by, the proper actor and stuff. Like, fucking hell, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, as it is, it's like, well, people have seen this. They know what it is now. They're not, like, interested. They don't want to see a shitty mummy film, so they can then go and see a shitty Dracula film. And then they can go see a shitty, like, Doctor Hyde film. And then see, like, shitty, like, we've combined these together into, like, a dark monsterverse. Ooh, it's like nobody's interested.
Yeah, I certainly wasn't. I mean, that's another good example that you've brought up there as well. I didn't even think of that. That was another rehash of things, and it wasn't like they had a very good idea or anything unique. They were just copying off another formula that had been done elsewhere with Marvel.
I mean, it's like, make a good film, like, have a good idea for it. Like, don't just like, all right, we've got this shitty horror film idea. Right, we're going to slap, like, Dracula on it or something, and then, like, put it out and then be like, ooh, now we're combining it with this and combining it with that. Like in some ways, DC went the other way, where it's like we sort of want a shared universe, but we also don't want a shared universe. We're just throwing everything against the wall and seeing what sticks. And it's like I don't give a shit about like multiple different universes. I don't care about multiple different continuities. Like I don't care. Like I'm not ready for like another reboot of the Batman doing something different. Like I'm done with Batman at this point. Like I'm tired. I don't want to see another one. I don't care if it's Robert Pattinson this time. I don't care if it's like the return of fucking what's his face?
Henry Cavill.
You know, the original Batman.
West. Oh, I know.
No,
Yeah.
like you know what I mean, the
Keaton.
original film Batman.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, it's like I don't care if it's Michael Keaton's Batman. Like I'm tired of the character of Batman. Can you not just give him a rest for a while?
Yeah. The only reason I give the Batman a pass, as in the Robert Pattinson one, was because it was some unfinished ideas that they were going to do with the Ben Affleck thing. I was kind of intrigued. It was good. I liked it. I liked it for what it was. I've rewatched it a few times. But it is a shame, like you said, they couldn't just do that. Couldn't have done that years before with like Ben Affleck or something and done it as a proper like Escape from Arkham movie or whatever.
Like I say, I mean, I kind of enjoyed more watching the Blue Beetle because at least it was like a character I wasn't super fucking familiar with. I knew enough to like get the references to like, you know, the previous Blue Beetles like Ted Kord and stuff like that. It kind of made sense to me because I vaguely knew what was going on with the character. Like I say, I was more interested in that than like yet another rehashing of fucking Batman, because at least that was new. And that's not being like suggesting, oh, like the Blue Beetle was this work of like no. Blue Beetle film was like a very by the numbers fucking superhero film. It wasn't anything spectacular, but at least it was a different character, you know.
Mm.
And it wasn't like, yep, we've decided we're going to make something new and interesting. It's going to have a badass female character. She's going to be a lady boss. She's not going to need no man. She's going to take no shit from everybody. And in doing so, she's going to kind of be a complete cunt that you can't really like.
Yeah.
It's like, come up with a new fucking idea. Like, I get it. Like, you basically said, oh, you know, oh, there have been no strong female characters in a long time. It's pretty rare. You know, like, oh, it's always like, you know, strong male lead. Okay, but now you've done like the shitty, like, vaguely kind of man-hating, goddamn, like, strong female independent character that many times. It's become a cliche in its own right inside of 10 years. Like, fuck's sakes, at least it took action movies a while to get goddamn stale. You've managed it somehow in like a quarter of the fucking time.
Yeah. I was gonna do some post editing like censorship of the swearing with a bleeper on here, but I think it'll go into overdrive, so I'll perhaps just leave all that in. But tell us what you think.
It's probably just be like beep, ing, beep, the bloody beep. Damn it, Core.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm sure Paul's getting his money's worth for asking the question here. One, I mean, obviously that's superhero movies. There's another like massive one, which is like the horror movies. So obviously, like the rehashing of there was like the Nightmare on Elm Street film, which was a lot of crap. But also the Michael Myers one with Halloween started out all right, but it just kind of descended. And obviously they're just trying to do like a remake of what they did before in a lot of ways. There's some all right new ideas, but it just didn't work. And like Kurt Russell says on the video, because obviously that's the John Carpenter franchise, like just do something new. You know, we don't have to keep bringing this up all the time.
It's like there is like a legitimately a room there for like, oh, there's this like, you know, brilliant old franchise. They only did one film. I'd really like to see like a continuation of some of the things they started in there. Like there is definitely like a room for that. The problem is that's just become the standard now. So it's like, oh, for fuck's sakes, another reboot, another remake, another reimagining. Like, fuck's sakes, I'm tired of this shit.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that's a good point, because we had things like the Blade Runner sequel that they did was pretty good. But they just bring these things back. They can't seem to come up with anything new. I think we're kind of overdue something right now. Like, obviously, there's been moments in movie history with things like Star Wars coming along that kind of reinvented Well, not reinvented, but kind of gave us that whole blockbuster thing. Obviously, it was a couple of years after the movie Jaws. That was the first major like summer blockbuster. Star Wars really kind of was a game changer. I think Iron Man in 2008 not only kind of jump started the Marvel movies, but it kind of gave us something that we thought we lost with, or maybe even never had with superhero movies. I mean, obviously Christopher Reeve Superman, but I liked a lot of the superhero movies, but even I said at the time, I'm just sick of seeing like men in masks with capes jumping off rooftops. Apart from like maybe the Batman movies, the Dark Knight trilogy, but they were a bit different.
Yeah, I mean, there's basically been like this thing. It's not exactly movies; it's games where they're like constantly remaking like zombie games. Like this is a zombie game, this is a zombie game, this is a zombie game. And it's like I still want a decent zombie game, but it's mainly because the zombie games they've been bringing out have not given me like what I want to like enjoy, kind of thing. Like the survival, like hiding from monsters, kind of like experience.
Yeah.
So there's still like this kind of like call for them. It's just the games they turn out are shit.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I say, we just need something like big, not just like, oh, that was a good film and then you kind of forget about it, but something that is like an absolute game change that other movie studios aspire to have, because it's not just that profitable, but it really does something to the consciousness of the film going audience and the studios, which obviously we had with things like Star Wars. But it's just a bit tricky at the moment because morale is a bit low. We're obviously getting movies just pumped full of
The Message.
So,
like I say, even if you get away from the message thing, it's like I can kind of get the argument that's made, like, oh, it's because we've had all these films that have been like this, and it's a woman's time, and this has got to be for this person and this kind of stuff. It's like I kind of see the argument out to a point. But that's the problem. It's like you've done it like so many times now. It's not new. It's not interesting. It's not different. It's not like upped the bar and done something like amazingly, surprising and like, holy shit, that was new. It's like what they were saying with Madam Web. It's like you jumped on a bandwagon that's set, fucking going a decade ago, and it's already stale and boring, and people like even just normies are kind of sick of this shit before you'd even brought it into cinemas. So strangely enough, it absolutely fucking tanked. It's like, what did you expect? It'd be like jumping on like the Wild West like bandwagon like a decade after that had kind of burnt out with like people getting sick of like spaghetti westerns and shit.
Yeah.
So like I say, usually with these big like, sorry to cut you off there, but usually with these big like film, kind of, I don't want to say franchises, but kind of film types, it's taken them a lot longer to kind of hit that wall and kind of burn. Like westerns were the shit for like the longest goddamn time. It's like they've managed to take the like woke thing from this annoys a small demographic to even like the mainstream are like, this again? Like, can you not think of something new?
Yeah, it really is.
It's like, did you speedrun this shit?
Yeah, because this a few years ago was something that was kind of on like mine and your radar. We were talking about this back in like 2016, but most of the people, they weren't really all that opinionated. But now a lot of people are quite like fluent in being, knowing what is being said and who's saying it, why they're saying it, and how all this has come to be, how all the studios have been ideologically captured and entering into like group think and having to go through struggle sessions with people like Gina Carano. They know all this stuff. That the more this has been pushed, the more people are kind of conscious of it, and rejecting.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of going beyond just like the ideological thing. It's like when you've got all these quotas to fill, you aren't getting the best of the best. You're getting like the second string at best. And then when you also factor in the try like constantly churn out shit to like keep the streaming services relevant, it's like, well, you're asking for like 100% more content than usual, and you've got maybe 50% of the talent you would normally have, and now you try to stretch them out over all this new stuff. It's like it's not working. You're getting like absolute fucking clowns. It's like these people did not deserve the fucking break that you've given them. Like, like shit like fucking She-Hulk. It's like, it's embarrassingly fucking bad. And I like the character of She-Hulk. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, Tatiana Maslany, the actress that plays She-Hulk, she's come out with something now saying about it's sexist fans that don't like the character. It's like, pretty sure She-Hulk was a big character because of the male fans of that character when it was like in the comics and the cartoons and stuff. I used to watch the cartoon for She-Hulk. I seem to remember there was one.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, given a choice, I actually do prefer female characters because it's just the way I am. Like, you know, it's like if I've got a choice between like Lara Croft and like Nathan Drake, both very similar games, like very Indiana Jones like rip-off, I'll usually gravitate towards Lara Croft. It's not because I'm like fucking simping and woke and shit. It's just what I enjoy. Like, Wonder Woman was probably my favorite out of the big three because I found Superman a bit boring and kind of, I don't know, I just kind of got tired of that whole, like, you know, like normal person that's just really good at his job kind of thing. But even like somebody like me is like, this is too fucking far. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and you're not one of those weirdos that every character in every film or every game has to represent your identity. You know, when you're doing it, you realise this is escapism. You know,
Like I say, that's just it. Like, if like basically a lot of video games have like character creators. I don't create myself. I create as far from myself as fucking humanly possible. I play like Dungeons and Dragons and shit like that. I have never once made a character that represents me. Why the fuck would I do this? This is escapism, for fuck's sake. Like, I don't want to make a character that represents the fat, lazy, like, what, 40-something fucking English person demographic. Like, that might be what it is, but I don't fucking care about that. You know what I mean? Like, why would I care?
You missed a word, the fat, lazy, foul-mouthed 40-something demographic.
Yes.
So, on that note, we'll cut it short anyway because the video has been quite a bit longer than we anticipated. I've got to throw a few things in here. I'll just end by saying, because he was mentioning about Kurt Russell doing playing the Elvis character, because that was something that he did early on in his career. I've not actually seen that. It's a John Carpenter film. I think it was a TV movie, but Paul, I don't think Paul knew that the connections there, but Kurt Russell actually appeared in a movie with Elvis Presley when Kurt Russell, was a child, because he was a child actor through the 60s, I think. In fact, I've got a clip. I'll put that in here.
How would you like to kick me in the shin?
How would I like to kick you in the shin?
Huh?
Mister, are you drunk?
No kidding. I'll tell you what. If you kick me in the shin real hard, I'll give you a quarter. Okay, go ahead, play it. Ah!
It's a good one. It's a good one, boy.
Adams. They're all nuts.
So that was the movie that he was in a film. You can tell it's Kurt Russell when you see that clip. But also a bit of interesting trivia. The film Forrest Gump, there's a bit where as a child, Forrest Gump meets Elvis Presley. And although physically it's not Kurt Russell, but Kurt Russell voiced Elvis Presley in that scene. And when you watch it, it's clearly Kurt Russell, but if somebody hadn't pointed it out to you, you might not have realised it. But when you listen to it, in fact, I'll insert the clip, you can tell it's definitely
Forrest, I told you not to bother this nice young man.
Oh, no, that's all right, man. I was just showing him a thing or two on the guitar here.
All right, but your supper's ready if y'all want to eat.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you, man. Say, man, show me that crazy little walk you just did there. Slow it down some.
Yes.
So, anyway, that was just kind of, I think I mentioned that because Paul was asking about that. So, right, I'll cut it short there. Hope you enjoyed this, Paul. And, yeah, I don't think there's anything else. So, we're doing future videos soon. So, if you've got any more mailbag questions, feel free to send them in, either in written format or video format. And, yeah, there you go. Thank you very much for watching.
So for those of you watching this on X, that's great. For those of you watching this on YouTube, you might want to check us out on X because we tend to generally post videos about 24 hours prior to YouTube on X.